morning and greetings from Northumberland. It's a bright and a cold morning. It's the 12th of, excuse me, it's the 12th of February, which means that it's the feast of St. Ethelwald, who lived around the year 740, about 100 years after people like Aidan and Cuthbert. He was a monk who became the abbot of Melrose Abbey, just over the hills here, and then came to the coast to Lindisfarne to be the bishop of Lindisfarne in succession to who? Eadfrith. We don't know much more about him except he was a compiler of information of prayer, of spirituality, and he's known for that. And remember, that's one of the roles that monks had, the bringing together both of prayer books, of psalters, and of also history, which culminates in the work of the Venerable Bede. But I'm not going to talk about him anymore now. I've already used a minute doing that. I want to think about the Gospel today, which is one of those marvellous feeding miracles where Jesus feeds the crowd with bread and fish. And I want to talk about what that means for us. First of all, we see again the compassion of Jesus. Jesus is concerned that these people should be fed. They've been with him 3 days and he's worried about their hunger. And that's where we start. Jesus' compassion for those who are in need. I've talked many times about the way in which Christianity has brought to Western civilization, and indeed to Eastern civilization, this idea of compassion, of kindness, of decency. And here we see it in Jesus. There's a lot of debate at the moment about the situation in Afghanistan, a terrible situation. And although individual donations can make a difference, some of us give to Christian Aid and to other charities on a regular basis, although individual donations will make a difference, it's also the work of nations to do this. And the majority of our nations in the West are founded on Christian principles. And it is time to think about how that applies to dealing with people who, yes, their government may have been and maybe still be seen to be enemies, but these people are not enemies. These are people on whom we need to look with compassion. And Jesus' compassion to feed the hungry and to care for the poor must speak to us in this situation. But also there is something for us. Jesus feeds the crowd. But he feeds the crowd with bread after he has fed them with the gospel. We as Christians come together traditionally week by week, at least some day by day, to be fed by Jesus, to be fed in the gospel and to be fed with his body. And we need to hold on to that and keep that before us, that we as Christians need to be fed day by day, week by week, by our relationship with Jesus, through word and sacrament. And that's how we grow into being the people who will feed the poor and care for the sick and have compassion on those who are in distress. So may God feed us and also help us to see his compassion for the poor and encourage our leaders to care for them. May God bless us all.